On July 14th, 1518, a woman walked into the streets of Strasbourg and began to dance. There was no music. She danced through the afternoon, into the evening, and past midnight. Her husband came to bring her home. She could not stop. She danced for 6 days. By the time the city intervened, 34 others had joined her. Within a month, the number reached 400. To understand why this happened, you need to understand what Strasbourg already was. Strasbourg in 1518 was a free imperial city on the Rhine. 20,000 people. A trading hub. Self-governing and by reputation, prosperous. But 1517 had been what one chronicler called simply the bad year. Harvests failed. Grain prices rose past what the poor could pay. Parents surrendered children to orphanages because they could no longer feed them. Smallpox moved through the city. Syphilis, which had arrived in Europe barely a generation earlier, had no cure and no mercy. A disease called the sweating sickness reached Strasbourg from England. It killed within hours. The people were malnourished, frightened, spent. This was not a city at peace. It was a city waiting for something to give. The woman's name, or the closest the records preserve, was Frau Troffea. She was married. Almost certainly poor. Nothing else about her life survives. What survives is what her body did on that street. She stepped outside and began to move. Not with purpose. Not with joy. The motion was convulsive, spasmodic. Her body moved and she could not make it stop. She danced through the first day. She danced through the second. Her feet swelled and bled. Her husband tried to pull her away. The neighbors came and watched. Nobody could explain it. After 6 days, the council ordered her taken to a shrine in the Vosges Mountains, the shrine of Saint Vitus. There, the records say, she recovered. But the damage had already begun to spread. Within a week of Frau Troffea's collapse, 34 men and women were dancing in the streets. They did not choose this. That is the detail that separates it from performance or protest. These people entered trance states, dissociative, unresponsive, and their bodies moved without their permission. What shaped the breakdown was belief. The people of the Rhine lived inside a specific conviction, that Saint Vitus, a Christian martyr, had the power to curse a person with uncontrollable dancing. He could send it. Only he could lift it. This was not superstition at the margins. It was part of the fabric of life. People feared this curse the way a later age would fear plague. The terror was real. The mechanism was different. When famine, sickness, and poverty finally cracked something open in the minds of Strasbourg's poorest, the crack took the shape their culture had already carved for it. The city council did what a responsible government does. They called their physicians. The physicians examined the dancers and reached a diagnosis: overheated blood, an excess of the sanguine humor under Galenic medicine, which was the best medical science they had. This was a sound conclusion. The treatment followed from the diagnosis. The dancers needed to keep moving. Vigorous activity would expel the excess heat. Stopping the dance could trap the bad humor inside the body and make the condition worse. So the council ordered stages built. Platforms went up in the horse market and the grain market. Dozens of musicians were hired. Drummers, pipers, fiddlers. Strong, healthy volunteers were brought in to keep the afflicted on their feet. The city of Strasbourg, following the best medicine available, built an apparatus designed to heal its people. What it built was an accelerant. The stages made everything worse. Music gave rhythm to the convulsions. The spectacle drew crowds. The crowds drew more dancers. People already teetering at the edge watched others fall and fell with them. The numbers climbed. The Imlan family chronicle would record as many as 400. Later accounts claimed that at the height, 15 people died in a single day from exhaustion, from stroke, from hearts giving out. The surviving city records do not confirm this. What they confirm is that the treatment had failed. Musicians played on. Bodies dropped around them. The stages the city had built to cure its people had become the place where their suffering was put on display. The most rational system in Strasbourg had become the engine of the catastrophe. On August 3rd, the council reversed course. A note survives in the handwriting of Sebastian Brandt, the city secretary, the man who decades earlier had written The Ship of Fools. He recorded that the horrible episode with the sick, dancing persons had not stopped. Dancing was banned, 30 shillings for anyone caught. The stages came down. The musicians went home. Gambling houses were shut. People the council called undesirables were expelled beyond the walls. Then the city did the one thing left to try. They loaded the worst cases into wagons and sent them on a 3-day road into the Vosges Mountains, to the shrine of the saint they believed had done this to them. At the mountaintop chapel near Saverne, the priests were waiting. The details of the ritual are specific. Wooden crosses pressed into the dancers' palms. Red shoes placed on their feet, blessed with holy water, marked with oil crosses on the soles. The chapel was thick with incense and low Latin. The afflicted circled the altar. They danced before the carved image of Saint Vitus, the saint whose curse they believed had started all of this. They danced as penance. They danced to be released. And they were. Word reached Strasbourg. More wagons were sent. Within a week, the stream of pilgrims slowed to nothing. By September, it was over. The physicians were not fools. They used the best framework they had. It simply could not reach the place where the illness lived. The illness was not in the blood. It was in the mind. Shaped by belief, triggered by stress the body could no longer carry, and fed by the spectacle the city itself had built around it. The shrine worked because it spoke the same language as the affliction. The saint, who could curse, could also forgive. The mind that made the trap was the only mind that could open it. Dancing mania disappeared from Europe as the beliefs that fed it faded. The last major outbreak was in the 17th century. Nobody dances to death anymore. But a community under pressure, a shared belief, and a contagion that moves through watching. Those have never gone away.